Give it a minute. All right, everybody. Welcome to Religion Zero, number 21, I believe.
Oh, we're drinking age, are we?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we only do one show a year, and this year we're ready. All right, Religion Zero, number 21. We are talking about New Age movement, miracles, and tripping balls.
Yes.
For the Lord.
For the Lord.
Yeah. I am Conk, as it rightly describes on my name tag for those who can see the video. To my right or left, I always forget how this is mirrored, is Brooke Potter. How you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. Always good to be back. Very spicy topic today, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, I am indeed in the hype. I'm exhausted and hyped at the same time. It's kind of like when you drink too much coffee, but you didn't sleep either. I kind of got that feeling. I'm pretty excited.
All right.
And below us is Amos Joseph. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm just, overwhelmed with joy of such a great topic. That's why I'm just kidding. No.
So you hate it? Just tell me you hate it, okay?
I hate the topic, man. I mean, why are we doing this? No. Glad to be here. Of course, had a good week. Looking forward to the topic. See where it takes us. You could say it's going to take us to higher planes. No.
All right, and I'm kicking Amos out of stream. Thanks for coming. I'll see you later. No dad jokes. I specifically said no dad jokes.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
We're going to rub some anointing all over the place.
Well, Amos, since you cast the first stone, tell us how your week's been. What's been going on?
Nothing. I mean, COVID is still going strong. I don't know what else is. I don't want to get into too many topics. It's going to take topics away from our show. But no, nothing too much going on. Just yeah.
Fair enough.
So you guys got some interesting 10K rums coming up. I don't know if you wanted to talk about those or not.
Today's show?
No, a special guest that's coming up.
Oh, well.
You did schedule it, so it's on the channel.
Man. I mean, we're having a vice presidential candidate that isn't a cop and doesn't believe in electroshock therapy. So
wait, are those both Kamala Harris? I'm confused now.
I know, it's just kind of like, how does that not describe Kamala Harris?
No. So Kamala's the cop, and then Mike Pence is the one that has had some passing history with electroshock therapy, apparently.
Ooh. I feel like Kamala did too, but that's
I kind of both Kamala came up for both of them. I know.
Maybe Pence they both believe in it. We don't know.
Pence was the kind of like the pray the gay away kind of thing. I think that's kind of where he is.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yes, we are having a guest on.
Yeah, Spike Cohen, the vice presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party. So
that will be this Tuesday at what time?
Tuesday, 1 p.m. Central Time, so 2 p.m. Eastern.
Ooh. That sounds spicy. Is he still also hanging out with our man Vermin?
Yeah. I mean, they're close friends. I mean, yeah. They have Vermin Supreme has the Vermin Supreme Institute, and their slogan is, you're the power, which is what Spike is kind of using as a slogan for himself, not so much for the campaign, but yeah.
Awesome. So actual representation is what we're shooting for.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I never thought I'd see it.
Yeah, I've got connections with, not with Vermin, but connections for people who are connected with Vermin, so it's definitely interesting. So
awesome. Did you get a complimentary boot? or horse.
No.
Not even a toothbrush. Come on.
No. Yeah, he's out he's out and he's out in the woods picking blueberries, last I heard.
Oh yeah. Is that code for something?
No, he literally
Okay.
was
Is he like
out in the woods picking
balls?
blueberries. No, he was literally out
Are
in the
those
woods picking
blueberries heavily fermented?
No, he was when he didn't win the nomination, he said he was out in the woods picking blueberries.
Nice. All right. Well, Brooke, what's going on with you?
Nothing much, bro. It's been a quiet week. We're trying to get some work done. Been out on a couple dates, which will be good. That'll probably be a raw takes for the 10K Rum subscribe star people. I'll share a little bit about that. I've been upgraded. If anybody's noticed my necklace, I've gone from Thor's hammer to Gungnir, which is the spear of Odin. Somebody was very, very generous to send this off to me. They said it was probably more appropriate. So yeah, I'm sporting some new stuff. So if ever I have kids,
Well,
I
thought that was like
one and the spear for the other.
Oh, I was gonna say it was given off some. I thought it was like a kunai from Japanese, like ninjas and stuff.
Oh no! It's like, well, it actually has some engraving on it and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. I do prefer the hammer, just being honest. But as I say, somebody was very generous to send this out to me, so I couldn't refuse.
Could you think you could put both on that keyring? Double up.
I could. I mean, they'll space out like that, kind of sideways. It doesn't look as good. I need a bigger ring to really get it. But the dragons that are holding it, they wouldn't fit if it was a bigger ring. So this is as good as it gets.
Alrighty, awesome.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to today's show, man. It's gonna be good.
All right. Well, for me, I don't know. I'm mostly dreading tomorrow. I've had 3 Mondays off in a row, and I'm back to normal weeks this week, and I hate it. So I am in my head. I still think I don't have to work tomorrow, but every time I realize it, I hate everything again. So it'll be fun. Thankfully, my Mondays are pretty low key, so I don't really have to do much. But the act of not being able to go do whatever the hell I want is bothering me. I have to do whatever the hell I want sitting in my office chair. It sucks.
Right.
I want to be free, damn it.
Is your move and everything is completed? You're kind of all settled in, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, for the most part. I'm finally able, as of today, excuse me, to actually cook in my kitchen, because for the longest time, I literally had a sink and a counter and a fridge, and that was it. And now I officially have a cooktop and a place to put the cooktop and a way to plug in the cooktop. So as of today, I can officially cook in my house. That'll be interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Like a real man.
Mm-hmm. All right. On to the topic.
On to the topic.
Yeah, I'm pretending I'm hitting a soundboard. New topic time. Bum, bum, bum. That's our sound effect for the day. All right. What do you guys... So we're talking about New Age movement, miracles, hallucinogenics, New Age thinking, some deep hippie shit. We're going deep hippie, Well, I mean, first and foremost, I think, how would you guys define New Age thinking or New Age movement? What's the definition you guys have heard? Because it is a pretty vague term, right?
Yes. Amos, you want to take a stab at that?
Okay. New Age thinking. I've never really actually properly heard it defined. I've always kind of like had a category like, oh, this is New Age and this isn't. Yes. I guess it's like has to do with kind of like pagan. It's almost like it's like a progressive, like new spin on paganism. So there's like, some kind of woo-woo, subtle spirituality, kind of, spiritual but not religious kind of thing. I mean, New Age is just about as woo-woo, the definition of it is just about as woo-woo as what it is. And like, I mean, would Scientology be kind of New Age in a sense?
Scientology?
No, not really.
has elements that could almost make it a little new age in a sense, doesn't it? Like, you know, the
It does have those weird
spirituality, the kind of
spiritual entities.
woo, yeah,
Yeah.
it's got that stuff going on in it, you
Maybe.
know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might involve some crystals or your what do they count? What do they do with that? Like what do they do in Scientology?
Scientology crystals.
Oh, the E-meter.
The E-meter, that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Where you have to hold
Uh,
those soup cans and they tell you how bad you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
But really, it's just like, you know,
And
how
the
many evil
the Thetans or something.
Thetans, evil alien spirits. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, evil alien spirit energy, stuff like that. Yeah, that's kind of what it is, really. It's just not Scientology, but just those types of themes. This very esoteric, you know, thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's very vague, Amos. It's very esoteric of you.
You've made it vaguer. You did the opposite of defining. No.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I'll take a start. Look, New Age thinking is basically that the human is God. That is New Age thinking.
Well, that's humanism, though.
No. Humanism is that we're human. The New Age is the human is God, right? So we are God, and thereby we have the power and influence over our reality, over our space, over the world, over nature, and all of these different types of things. That is the classical definition of New Age thinking. The problem is that's not false in a biblical sense. The theology is wrong, but they're actually not entirely wrong, which is why it's going to be an interesting discussion.
Yeah,
but yes.
To me, it's good. It's definitely difficult because I kind of want to start with defining terms, because if you ask a Mormon or you ask Jehovah's Witness or you ask them to talk about Jesus and the Bible, they're going to use all the same catchphrases as you, but they do not believe the same thing you do, right?
Okay, I Googled it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I should have done that before the show.
Well, I mean, it kind of connects to that. A broad movement characterized by alternative approaches to traditional Western culture, with an interest in spirituality, mysticism, holism, and environmentalism.
Yes.
Woo-woo, esoteric stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. What was that? Wikipedia? Thank you.
Spirit fingers. Oh,
Spirit jazz fingers.
We're changing the name of the podcast to Amos Reads the First Google Resort.
See, that's what helps to do a little research before the show, Amos. You see that?
Oh, like you did research.
Bro, I got my notes, man. Wait till you hear this. But yes, Corey, go ahead. So yeah, I agree that the terminology is different. As you say, if you talk to a Mormon, a Jehovah's Witness, they're all going to use the same language. They don't necessarily mean the same thing. And
and I think with the New Age movement, I think that's a very specific thing, especially when you're talking about like the New Age churches and the New Age things, right? They talk a lot about miracles and angels and prophecy. You see those words all the time in the Bible. So, you know, is it really the same thing? Is it not? That's kind of what I want to deep dive into, right?
Yes.
And I think there's also a lot of people who go to those types of churches and they don't realize that they're not always saying the same thing, right? And I think that's going to be one of the big things where they're like, oh yeah, this is just a cool hip new church, not realizing that they're like doing like 17th century like pagan stuff. So it's good to be aware of what you're doing, right?
Sure. Sure.
I mean, the term New Age itself, I think, comes from like the 1970s hippie culture, right? And that's where you saw a lot of the shaggy Volkswagen vans covered in crystals and free love and tie-dye shirts. Like a lot of that was like the flavor of New Age in the 70s when people actually started to use that movement. Sure. And now it kind of died down for a while. And I think we've actually seen a resurgence of it in the last 10, 15, 20 years, depending on who you ask.
Thanks, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow is diehard New Age movement.
Is she? I don't know.
What she sells healing crystals and shit on her website. Yeah.
She sells these special little stones you can put up, women can put up in there to help strengthen their muscles.
Okay, then. I didn't know you were that versed on
Oh no, this is a whole
it's
no.
been a meme
This
for
is,
like a year or two.
no. This is like a whole meme. Like JonTron did a whole video about her company. Was it Goop? Yeah, Goop.
Yeah.
And it's just like product, like pseudoscience to the max. Like pseudoscience,
and the max
pagan,
profits,
new age.
they're expensive as hell.
Yeah, and it's just and it's you know, I mean, you can go buy a Tiffany golden paperclip for $1,000 and get more value out of that than the stuff she sells.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they sell a crystal that's made to go into an orifice to make you feel better, that's out there, right? Just, I think we can agree that's out there.
I mean, technically, it's in there, not out there.
It's up there. It's
Jesus.
What does this show become?
Up in there.
All right. I mean, to kind of bring it back a little bit.
Oh, we were there.
We definitely up the creek. Because again, this is such a very broad topic.
Mm-hmm.
You did kind of mention it in terms of a new age church, and maybe we could kind of narrow it down in that sense.
Yeah.
So what is a church that you kind of want to address? Some of the practices that they, maybe kind of involved in these types of things, and we can probably take a look at it from there.
Yeah, I would say for me, a lot of the people who care so much about miracles and revelation, usually, like, if all of their things are about miracles and revelation, then that's usually a huge red flag, right? To me,
Okay.
what was the purpose of miracles, right? When you're looking at the biblical context, it was usually to the signs and wonders and miracles and yada yada, or usually to point to Christ, right?
Yes.
They weren't miracles for their own sake, miracles for the sake of miracles. I think they were a very side item, because how many people saw miracles of Jesus and were actually genuinely converted? He had 5,000
Right.
people posse, and they all just kept leaving when he started talking about actual doctrine, right? They just want to see cool, more magic tricks, and feel good.
Right.
And so I think if you're worshiping the feel good magic trick, you're not getting it, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
I think that's nothing but pure examples all throughout the New Testament.
He talked about how faith wasn't going to come from seeing miracles.
Correct.
Faith was going to come from other things. So just, people weren't like, oh, I believe in Jesus now because I saw him heal a blind man. It was the people who stuck around and actually listened to the message and went, oh, not to say miracle, signs and miracles and stuff aren't supposed to happen, or, to make some sort of doctrinal thing out of it. But really, faith was not going to come by just people sitting there looking at miracles all day.
Correct.
I don't have faith in, Tony Stark because I watched the Avengers.
Okay.
Sorry, I just I have more. I feel what draws in the character of Tony Stark is who he is as a person, rather than the suit, the explosions, and all this. All that stuff just kind of makes me go, "Oh, that's cool." But what people really like about a character is like what they're talking about and what they're about. Okay, maybe that's too far out.
I don't.
It's getting a little new age.
Using a fictional character is a very bad analogy to kind of build off of. He's not a religious icon, so it's kind of difficult to kind of get that nuance. But you're right in the sense the children of Israel saw great miracles for 40 years and 40 nights. 40 years for 40 years. The pillar of fire, manna from heaven every day, parting of the Red Sea. And
they were all still whiny bitches.
And they were all still whiny bitches. In fact, the Bible went on to say the children of Israel, Moses knew God, but the children of Israel knew his ways. So they never even really knew him. They just saw kind of his handiwork. And so to Conk's point, I completely agree. Miracles do not attest to much else than God is good and that he is supernatural. He's beyond the realms of this earth, sort of thing. In fact, I think I made this in the last point. The Corinthian church that had all the miracles, they were babes, right? Paul wrote.
Yeah,
to
they were
them
the most immature. Like, sinful
They were
ones.
babes,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, they were
Yeah, nothing
immature.
but Twitch
immature.
thoughts in First Corinthians.
Yeah, it was all Baywatch at that point, and, but,
So many
that
e-girls.
was the point. They were so fixated on what was basically elementary Christianity, according to Paul. It's like, this stuff that you're doing, the signs, the wonders, and the miracles, this is baby stuff. And you're right, the church has the complete opposite thinking because of like this spiritual level. They think if you perform a miracle, wow, you're a saint, you're super holy, you've conquered sin and done all these different crazy things. That none of that theology follows through at all, because even Judas Iscariot did miracles. He went out with the 40 and 12 and performed miracles and came back and reported about things that he did. And from what we know, he never really fully believed. So all of that is true. And the idolization of the supernatural in the church, especially in like what you talk about, the new apostolic reformation or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's the big obvious
NAR.
one.
That's what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm not opposed to miracles. I've seen my fair share of it, but I understand you don't even have to have correct doctrine to perform a miracle, right?
Yeah, it says false prophets do lots of signs and wonders.
Do signs and wonders, right? So
yeah.
Right, you can have your doctrine completely wrong and lay hands on the sick and they can be healed. That doesn't mean you are right. It just means God is good. And that's what
wasn't it when the disciples said, there is someone out there speaking in your name,
casting out devils, yeah.
And he said, well, as long as he doesn't speak ill of me.
Yeah, those who are
cool.
not against us, cool.
And there wasn't even like some sort of doctrinal
right?
thing, like, okay, is he preaching these things? It was just, does he talk shit about me? No? All right, cool. Go ahead. Keep doing what you're doing. I was just thinking of the, because you brought up, the Corinthians, then on the opposite end, the most mature church, was it the Ephesians?
Ephesians.
Yeah, he was up there.
Yeah.
Top three.
Yeah, definitely in the top
and
three.
They were on the Watch Mojo top 10 video.
How often do you see anything in that book about miracles?
I agree. It was all about love. Love was
it was pretty. It was a lot of teaching you like what it means to be a son of God and the kingdom of God, things like that. There wasn't anything. Okay, if you get this really nasty devil, you're supposed to fast. None of that. Not even close. And yeah, even the Corinthians never had any of that stuff. They were, what were they doing? They were doing some pretty interesting stuff at the church.
Yeah, eventually somebody was sleeping with his stepmother.
Mm.
Yeah, I think we get that in the second.
The Pornhub church.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the Corinthian church, but yeah, they were immature, clearly.
And yet, miracles.
Yeah,
it tells you it's miracles, signs, and wonders. It's Christianity 101. That's like the base. That is, normal Christianity, as somebody might say. It doesn't mean you're special.
Normal Christianity.
But I think I would argue though that it's also normal for non-Christianity as well. Like people who openly say they're not Christian still do weird miracles and signs and wonders and weird crap like that too, right? I think it's spot on. It's completely irrelevant to the Christian or not. Right?
The secret.
Yeah. The secret is like the poster child for being New Age and not calling themselves New Age, right?
Yeah, but that even the secret has this basis in the Bible, right? So Mark 11:24, pray as if you've already received, and you shall have whatsoever you pray, which is the secret. The secret is imagine yourself actually experiencing whatever it is you desire, like you already have it, and it'll manifest. Mm-hmm. It's straight out of the book of Mark, right? In fact, it's also in the Gospel of Thomas, but that's an apocryphal work. But yeah, even that in a sense is actually a biblical principle. They just don't have the theology to it.
Possibly, yeah. I don't know. I think. See, I'm not in on the secret because I feel like no matter how much I want to turn into a werewolf, it's probably not going to happen, right? How many furries want to actually be a dragon or a fox? That's not going to happen.
Right? There's no secret.
It's kind of difficult to know what it would feel like to be a dragon. So I think that might be your downfall at that point.
You could probably delude yourself and do enough crazy stuff to feel like you're a dragon, but are you a dragon? right?
I mean, I play plenty of D&D, so I get to be a dragon a few times.
Oh yeah. Kill your friends too. That's fun.
But
But
yeah. I would agree that in that.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
going to say, and also a really big point is specifically against the New Apostolic Reformation is they say, like before we already said that's not true. Like the more spiritual you are, the more miracles you do, and that
Correct.
helps God for some reason. However, every time I bring this up with somebody who believes in that, they kind of have a little short circuit in that John the Baptist was the most righteous man to ever live and performed no miracles. I believe it says it in John.
He was the greatest of all prophets. It's not that he was the most righteous, but yes, you're right. He was the greatest of all prophets, and he did no miracles. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in John it said many people came to him. They said John never performed a sign, but everything that John said was true. That's in John chapter 10.
So how did he deal with deaf people?
He baptized them and moved on, right? But up the chain.
Because he would have to perform a sign.
And then wonder how he learned that.
Yeah, okay.
There was no sign language back then. But I mean, like if you look at all of the like the IHOP University and the Bethel University, like their little pseudo colleges they create, they like half of the classes are how to perform miracles. And to me, that is completely nonsensical, right? Are you going to go around and teach people how to do these cool healing stuff and how to do that? And why are they taking thousands of dollars from poor college kids to try to teach them to perform miracles and then send them out, right?
So
to me, that's sketchy AF.
If you guys look in the chat there, we got Tower Guy 77 asking, with our ability to observe the quantum world, do you think that quite possibly is the way in which miracles take place? My understanding, I think he's talking, because like if you want to talk about quantum mechanics, some Christians will just say, some Christians get a real hard on for quantum mechanics and go, ooh, look, science is proving, miracles and this and that and the other. And because science says this, science proves, like they say, science proves miracles. Therefore, science proves God. Therefore, there's no faith. It's just, we just know because science is, it's this weird thing where they're like digging into science to try to find God. When I think the faith, like, theologically, the faith is just like your faith shouldn't be trying to kind of like, go dig for that. Not like you shouldn't, but it's like they almost kind of use it as their theology and it almost becomes new age to itself. Mm-hmm. Oh, look, the observer effect means, the universe is created by God because it reacts to how we perceive it. It's like, no.
Yeah. I agree. That's silly. I've seen a lot of people trying to like prove creationism because quantum mechanics says a bunch of weird shit we can't understand.
There's a book called Quantum Faith.
Yeah, and like a lot of people do that, but actually a lot of the New Age teachers also use quantum mechanics, and that's when you hear a lot of stuff about like vibrations and energy, like
because
the vibrations of a person. And it's funny, Tom. I don't know if you know this because Tom's in the chat. I think one of the most recent Bill Johnson books, who's the guy who's the head of Bethel, which is the really big New Apostolic Reformation. He has like sections in his newest book about vibrations of heaven and how to find them and random crap like that, which to me sounds so ridiculous. Trying to get vibration woo-woos. And like,
I'm no string theorist.
Of heaven. Yeah.
I'm no string theorist, but I know that's some real, BS. Mm-hmm. The way they go about it is like, look, it's like, no, like not really, like, because we say, there's vibrations, there's strings and they're vibrating and sound waves are vibrations too. Therefore we can speak and then things kind of do that thing. And I'm like, not sure that's how it works, buddy. Like, I mean, I don't doubt miracles, at least the ones that I've been, either known people that I've known long, like, when I talk to Brooke or like things that I've seen in person. But when it comes to just people trying to kind of like work around to kind of justify and why it happened and like, is it really a miracle? If we just somehow figure it out and, science figured it out. So it's not really.
It would have to be a very, very skewed definition of miracle, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. So then,
Because
what I mean
the act
is,
of me going to the grocery store and having all this food prepared for me, what a miracle!
I mean,
I went to
really,
the
I mean, are
grocery store.
miracles defined as Arthur C. Clarke defines, technology that is so advanced that it doesn't seem any different from magic.
Like Thor.
Right. It's like, because there's all these things, and anyone who knows enough about science can go, oh no, that's not really like why is it's weird how they're trying to incorporate science into it.
Yeah, and to me,
Actually
I think
does
it's all
more
a
harm
stretch.
for the science than it does for the faith. Well, it actually does harm for both, I think.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Oh,
I see you making
Amos's
faces,
train of
bro.
thought was completely different from my next point train of thoughts. Now I have to go back to it. So anyway, intermission. But I mean, yeah, the whole quantum mechanics thing, I think, is definitely like everybody is trying to grab that, and you kind of see that with every new science innovation. Oh, this proves God because we found a chromosome that looks like a cross. Therefore, Jesus is marking us and showing us that like science is cool with Christianity, or like everybody's always had these weird outstretches to try to prove creationism or try to prove God through science, and they find all this weird obscure shit, right? And I think New Age is the same thing, but they're not borrowing from science, they're borrowing from hippies 40 years ago, right? I don't know if you guys agree with that or not.
They borrow from science as well. They also hinge on the quantum theory, and it's different in the New Age movement because again they're not thinking in terms of how do I explain this. They're actually taking Christian thought to its logical conclusion if you really get into it, where there is only one mind in the universe, which is God's mind, and we are all subsets of God's mind. And God's mind and our imagination is actually the platform of creation and power and all these other things. And through our imagination and thoughts, we can ripple the creation fabric that brings things to us through incidents, right? It's not gonna pop out of thin air, but you'll have like a serendipitous journey towards whatever it is that you're vibrating towards and stuff like that.
Almost like a perturbance. Like a
disturbance in the force, kind of thing, right?
Almost like if it was like a fabric, there's like a little bend in it, and then something happens.
Right. So, and I don't think this is necessarily entirely false because I do suspect, at least I've seen it for like relationships that I've had. I tend to attract people who are very similar to myself for some reason, right? We don't fully understand this phenomenon. It's something that resonates from the mind, and for some reason, there's another person who's resonating similarly in terms of their thoughts, and we connect in that respect.
I mean, there's been studies that show like our brain waves, like the frequencies coming from our brains aren't necessarily confined to within our skull.
The head. Yeah. The brain is not actually the brain is the antenna of consciousness. Is basically the theory. We can't prove this, but your brain is basically a massive receiver. And you are being beamed consciousness from the one mind, which is God, right? And you have your frequency, whatever channel you're on, that's your definition. But that, because you're very close to something else, and you can also change the frequency. So when we get into the drugs and the tripping and stuff like that, you can change the frequency. That also resonates back to the power of the one mind, and that's what affects the reality. So that is the New Age approach to it, which involves quantum physics.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
what's the evidence for that outside of people saying it? You know what I mean?
We can't.
Exactly.
Well, this is the thing is I think when it really comes down to it, you're having Tom Bombadil, my vibration attracts alpha male bros and 10 out of 10 hoes. Wow.
Good on you, bro.
But I think when it comes down to is
the word of the Lord.
Praise be to no, there's like a level of, I think there's a level of unconsciousness, just subconscious perceptions that we're not aware of. Because what our subconscious does most of the time, we're, besides, holding grudges or having insecurities, that's about it. Like it'll remember certain things, but I've also like And I've spoken to some atheists about this too. They basically say like, well, yeah, there's probably like levels of perception within our mind that we're just not consciously aware of. Like through all the studies and everything that we know so far of how the mind operates, there's just levels of perception we're not quite understanding. So where we might have, they were using this to describe like the idea of like word of knowledge or word of certain words of wisdom, is you might have just such a level of perception that your subconscious is operating in that you don't know.
Agreed.
And you, for a moment, tap into it with a combination of maybe, some cold reading, with, of course, you yourself also being fairly perceptive. And you can just look at someone and go, oh, you start to kind of go in a direction where what we've called, reading someone's mail. Now, when it gets to things like, guessing addresses and numbers and stuff, that gets a little weird. I can't really explain too much of that. Then again, I haven't seen that myself personally. I've heard it. I've always heard it happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hear that happen at these Christian churches that believe a lot about prophecy and miracles, but you also hear it about like gypsy festivals do the same shit too, right?
Well,
they
Brooke,
all have their fortune tellers that can do weird mystic, Gnostic shit too. So like, to me, it's not a Christian exclusive.
Brooke, have you personally had like a reading your mail moment? Impeccable detail.
Oh yeah. Somebody's complete stranger rattled off my phone number and my license plate. Like, just out of nowhere. I mean, that's, and you see,
was your car parked outside?
No.
I was in my car on the phone. It was great.
No, I wasn't even in a church setting. It was in the middle of the mall, and they were, doing this outreach and whatever. And somebody just came up to me and prattled off. They didn't even know what the numbers were. I knew what they were. They're like, "Do these numbers mean anything to you?" And then they went to somebody else and they named somebody's doctor. And yeah, I've seen some pretty accurate stuff. And I think this was the point I was going to raise with Conk as well, is a lot of the reason why the church is going after these new types of, prophecy and stuff like that is because those gifts have been so weak, or what we've been sold. Let me rephrase that. What we've been sold in the church as prophecy and words of knowledge has been so weak. People are trying to hear from God, and they're going to use, the tarot cards. They're going to use the crystals. They're going to use whatever techniques that they're using.
Crystal butt plugs.
I don't know.
They sell them.
Does it vibrate? Like, I don't know how that works.
Only spiritually.
No. In the
no batteries required.
Spiritual vibrations.
Yeah, Gwyneth Paltrow literally sells that. So.
Oh my! But I mean, people are looking for answers, and for the most part, the church has failed to bring that bridge, to bring that connection to the voice of God into people's lives. They tend to set up more barriers than they actually have preached union. So people are looking for God in all these kind of really weird places. So I think it's an indictment on the church, because I do believe the real gift does exist. You don't really hear about it. You don't really see it. And it's usually not at these type of conferences and these big types of things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to the whole reading the mail thing where you're in the mall, what was the point of that? Like, why would God tell you your own phone number?
To show me that the gift, the full context of that is I'd just gotten a prophecy that was absolute bullshit. I was upset walking through the mall, and some church had like a little outreach, sending the kids out to pray for people. And this kid ran up to me and boom, he says this to me. And he's like, "Does it mean anything to me?" And I said, "Yeah, it's fine." He's like, "Okay, cool. Bless you. I'm a Christian already." Okay. And he ran off. And it was God basically telling me, he's like, "Don't shit on all prophecy. Just because this one was shit, it was actually encouraged. It was God. I believe God was trying to encourage me. Like, the real thing does exist. Don't take these people on." So it edified me. It may not have necessarily been useful to anybody else.
Yeah. But I don't know. I guess for me though, if we also agree that like non-Christians and other New Age movements also do this, how can you tell them apart, right? And you can't just go off of your feelings, because that's that's what Mormons do. They go read the Book of Mormon and then feel that it's true, right?
I haven't seen too many outside of Christendom in terms of prophecy and words of knowledge New Age prophecy and word of knowledge is very woo-woo. It's even more vague. In fact, when we go to like those fairs, so one of the guys I used to follow, he set up a Christian booth in like the Salem New Age Festival, and he would go with teams and stuff like that. And we would set up there, we'd go full in, and we'll talk about the white spirit and, just use all of their language to evangelize. When they would do it to us, it was very flaky. It was this kind of shit you see at Bethel and all these, you're a man of God.
Some weird cold reading stuff.
Yeah, just really bullshit kind of stuff, right?
By the way, we're gonna go deep dive into like the real shit Bethel does. It's not just cold readings and treasure.
Yeah, sure. Fair enough.
Gemstones.
Grave soaking.
No, to be fair, that's not a Bethel thing. That's what the students did. It's not taught by Bethel.
No, the wife was there, and the husband was there. You could see them in photos of them doing it. They just publicly denied it and lied. So,
okay, well, I'll have to.
There's photos of them doing it. Yeah.
But yeah, the point is, the New Age, they're even worse at these types of gifts, even though they can do it, and I agree. And I've met like energy healers who've actually like dissolved tumors and stuff like that, and it's just pure like energy manipulation. Right on the screen, you just see the thing shrink up. I agree. These things are not limited to Christianity at all. But I think the most powerful expression has been within Christianity. That'd be the expression I'd say.
I don't know if I would say powerful. I would say maybe it's the most public. Right.
That too.
Because, if you go to one of those Salem New Age conferences, like you're saying, there's like, a couple hundred people, but Bethel has 4,000 people every Sunday. You know what I mean? I would say maybe it's just more popular, not necessarily that it's more correct. And to me, honestly, the bigger the numbers, the more skeptical I am of what I think they believe. Right. I don't think anything that is like authentically true is going to get on Oprah's book club. Right.
Unless you're Rob Bell.
I mean,
possibly.
I don't think I'm that dogmatic, because I know, if you shoot at everything that moves, you're going to hit something eventually. So Oprah pretty much hit on every kind of spiritual person out there. So of course she's going to get some things right. I mean, it's mostly going to be wrong.
I don't know. I think I disagree.
Fair enough.
If you love Jesus, the world will hate you.
Right.
So why would you be a worldly bestseller preaching Jesus?
Well, it depends. It depends upon who you're talking about and what you're talking to. What you're talking about and who you're talking to. Rob Bell is I think is an interesting example. He's gotten a little new age nowadays, but back when he got in real trouble he would talk about some really good stuff. So he had this whole series called Numa. He talked about some really good stuff. Like this was played in like all sorts of churches. People like this stuff. All they saw was like, oh, here's like a hipster-looking Christian pastor that gives these very easy lessons about God's love, God's grace, and all this stuff. And it's all great. And then he writes, "Love wins," and half the church wants to burn him at the stake.
Yeah, that question the validity of eternal conscious torment.
Yeah. So I mean, if half the church hates you, I think you're doing pretty good. And then he gets into some, new age stuff, and then he goes on Oprah, and everyone's like, "Oh, look at this new ager on Oprah or whatever." And it's like, so, I mean, maybe it goes a little bit too, woo woo, and someone tied some strings to him and made it look like he was levitating. I don't know. No, he didn't do that. But but this is the thing: is it's not like you have to be hated. I think if Jesus were to come back today, there'd be a clear division between those who are with him and against him. You would have a lot of people that would be for him, but you'd also have a lot of powerful people that would be against him. I was actually having a conversation with someone about this just a little bit ago, about kind of like, because someone, a bunch of people try to like, well, I think if God, God did this, and if Jesus was like this, he'd totally be this, and they're trying to politicize him. And I'm like, no, I mean, I think for the most part, the true controversial thing is Jesus doesn't really care about a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Holy indifference is what the Catholics call it, right? That's one of the few things I really like about Catholicism is holy indifference. I think it's like St. Ignatius or something like that. Like, that guy was legit. I like him.
Yeah.
Where's Bobby? I want to relate to him on one thing.
So Heather just posted a comment there. Don't we have to suffer to be spiritual?
No.
It
No?
depends on what you mean by suffer.
Yeah, because to me, suffering, and this is something we teach in our addiction classes, is the difference between pain and suffering.
Yeah.
Pain is the physical detriment or the physical problem in the body, and suffering is what you do with it with your mind, right?
Correct.
Because
Yeah,
if we're supposed to be joyful in all things, why would we be suffering?
Yeah.
True, but I mean, there would be like, I mean, for the people who are, we'll just say the real hardcore missionaries out there that are starving, I think that's pretty, that's some suffering. I mean,
It doesn't have to be though.
Yeah, it's a lot of it has to do with your personal choice. And in fact, throughout church history, we see that the church is actually not supposed to be as dry as we might think. The church is full of ridiculous saints doing ridiculous miracles and signs and wonders and being caught up in ecstasies and raptures and levitating off the floor. And I mean, just absolutely. One of them, I think he was turning salt water into normal water so that the crew on his boat could actually drink. They were all like going, they were dying of thirst and stuff like that. And even when some of them were being tortured, they would report it as being ecstatic. Like they would be pierced by an arrow and suddenly they would just feel this incredible ecstasy that came over their body and stuff like that. And it kind of goes to the point that, yes, we will suffer in this life, right? There is obviously suffering that takes place in this life.
Yeah.
But I don't think Christianity is meant to be about suffering. It's called new wine.
No, okay. That's what I'm getting at is suffering is just happen. So in the pursuit of, what do you want to call it? Spiritual, pursuing to be more spiritual as a Christian, like, whether it's to gain revelation, to learn to love people, be a vessel for God's love more, getting real, woo-woo with that. But there's a lot of yourself that gets in the way. There's a lot of getting in your own way. So in the process of sort of getting out of your own way to, for some people to be a man of God or whatever, you're the one that's going to be suffering. It's not like it has to happen. It's just our stubbornness is just not wanting to change. Like change is hard. So change,
Right.
as a result of that harsh change of you having to, stop being a bitch, basically.
Well, technically you don't have to, but yeah.
No. I mean, yeah, you would have to be perfectly like fluid in your perceptions and worldview to be able to just transition seamlessly into this, very open and spiritual sort of mindset. Not to get too like Gnostic about it, but you know what I mean. But we're all stuck in our own ways with a lot of things. So there's a lot of learning and changing.
Well,
so the suffering is totally on us.
Yeah, human nature is that they want to be comfortable, right?
Yeah, human nature, fighting against human nature is suffering because we have to do it.
Maybe. I think we have different. I get what you're saying, but I think we just had different definitions.
I'm not saying inherently human nature makes us suffer, but it's just the way we've gone about it is, I'm used to doing this. Well, you're a stubborn asshole. You got to do things different if you want your life to be a certain way. If you feel you want to serve God in a certain way, maybe there needs to be certain changes. Maybe you shouldn't be certain. It's not like a demand. It's just like, it's almost like chakras. You have to open them up for them to flow. Like,
I just listened to a lady do a whole teaching on chakras. It's like, what the hell is this? I had to listen to it, man. It sounds
prophetic.
great.
No,
dude, what's up with like 40-year-old moms and chakras? That's like the transition point when you start caring about them. That's what I've noticed.
I think there's something to do with the wall. Just feeling really blocked up in life that they like, opening chakras feels more special.
Maybe, I don't know. But every time I see some mom in the church on Facebook start posting chakra shit, it's usually because she's in 40s and going through that menopause. But so,
I mean, there's an interesting history behind the chakras, though. But yeah, we don't have to go down that road.
Oh, actually, we do eventually.
Some of it ties back to Atlantis and stuff like that. It's some really interesting stuff.
Oh, yeah. Someone was asking earlier though about the tripping balls part. Do we want to get on that?
Are we doing the drugs this week, or do you want to keep that for next week?
Yeah, well, let's go down this train of thought because I think it does transition into that eventually.
Okay.
Because one of the big things about New Apostolic Reformation and New Age stuff in
Sorry.
general is like the idea of trances, right? Or like
Right.
that, it's almost got that weird hallucinogenic group tripping from all being together and shouting tongues or shouting whatever,
Oh,
and
like
having
a
that weird
like a
drunk in the spirit. Some people call it that. You
Uh-huh.
know what I
like a
mean?
group psychosomatic response.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you see those all the time, and like they almost actively go out of their way for it, right?
Courtesy falls.
Yeah, exactly. And if you work in the church, you guys might have had to do this too, where you get that background of like, okay, we're having a revival guy. He's probably going to do this. Get ready to catch people. Go get some blankets. Like I've been that guy behind the scenes where they
Yeah.
tell me to go do that because they're just expecting it as part of the show, right?
I've been
Yeah,
the
I did
guy.
that.
I've been the guy that didn't know that I'm supposed to courtesy fall. So the guy puts his hand on me and I just step back. And I'm like, oh. And then the guy behind me said, not everyone is meant to fall.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, Tom's bringing up and asking us like, do you guys have any times where you've been in that psychosomatic experience, spiritual ecstasy experience when you're going to your Bible conferences and stuff?
As does every kid at a church has happened. You have these 6-hour-long worship services.
Oh God, I ain't even thinking about them. I ain't got time for that, man.
Well, so it's like, hey, let's do a 10-minute message and then we're gonna go into worship, and then about an hour in, there's almost like this sort of tipping point. And I'm not trying to take away from the Holy Spirit and what can move upon people, but there's almost like this, there's like this group consciousness going on, this sort of atmosphere that sort of forms when everyone is kind of all focusing on something. And it eventually kind of hits this point where like one person laughs, one person falls or starts shaking or whatever, and then everyone else starts doing it. Or at least a substantial amount of people are all doing it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how much of it is genuine, I'm not going to sit here and question, but it's like there's always that kind of point. Now, I've had it happen, and I believe it to be totally genuine for myself. I'm like I said, I'm not going to go judge other people.
I mean, you were with us in Thailand, Amos.
No, I'm talking about a summer camp that I had where it was a lot more intense.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, you were there because the guy we were with, he was totally against that.
Well, we had a whole conversation about that in Thailand too.
Yeah.
Remember, I had just come out of that whole ministry that was like kind of shut that out.
Yeah. And we had a guy on the team who was very susceptible to like spiritual irkings and stuff like that. It looked very weird to me. I wasn't particularly a fan of it, but I couldn't deny that he was definitely having a genuine experience. And when we were in, Chiang Mai, and we had the underground church that we can't speak about, they showed up, and we just had that one afternoon where the guy who was leading our team, he couldn't get off the floor. Like he was stuck to the floor, and he was calling people like, God is holding me to the ground. Pull me up. And he couldn't get up. And that just broke out into this massive ecstasy fest where, there was just joy, singing, and all these different types of things. You remember that?
No, I remember that. I'm not denying that. I'm not saying I just remember like the moments that I was more aware of, like, kind of separate from the whole thing. Like there is something about the group that does it. And what I'm saying is it's a combination of genuine experiences.
Yeah.
But a whole bunch of other people that are just kind of doing it to go along with it.
Sure.
And this is the thing, is that kind of, I think, both helps and hurts it at the same time. Is there's so many people that are just doing it to do it, so then it's kind of weird when you talk to these people that a lot of them will be like, oh, it's just everyone else is doing it, so I just did it. So there's that, and then you find the small handful that are like, no, I genuinely like fucking just, and I've had both of those. I've had the whole like, well, everyone's, I guess I'm you know, of courtesy, like, you know. But then the one time, you know, someone like put their hand on my head, and I just like literally just collapsed.
Right.
And
You've had
then-
the ecstasies though. You've had like the laughing fits and
4 hours.
yeah.
My
It-
4 hours just laughing, jumping, dancing, running around. Then I took a break, which is not what you're supposed to do. And then my legs seized up.
Yeah, I remember you telling me the story.
Yeah, my legs were just stiff. Like I couldn't, like, you know, normal just.
And did they say
like,
you were possessed?
No, I couldn't. Like I had to waddle.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I didn't know you could get a ab workout from laughing.
Oh yeah, burn that calories, man, for the Lord.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, and then of course you see like these televangelists that literally will not literally punch people, but like you'll see like they'll do a little push or a trip, you know, they're like, you know, I'm making sure you're going down if it's real or not. And that takes away from it. I think because there's this whole thing of, you know, laying hands, and then there's pushing, and then there's courtesy falls. I think it has to, not that it has to, but it should be more letting the people have their own experiences. That if someone like that, if it's truly genuine, a person could just be standing there and drop. Because why does a person have to touch? A person could touch them. I'm not saying don't do it. Don't lay hands, you know, all this stuff. But if it's really real, then there should be no person involved. It's just knocked down.
Okay. Well, using that example when you were talking about you were having your Holy Spirit laughing thing for 4 hours and then your legs locked up and stuff. Obviously, the room was doing it too. It wasn't you by yourself, right?
That we actually had to get separated from the group because we kept going after everyone was done. This is where there's that difference between the genuine experience versus the group that's just kind of like, oh, worship's over, you know, Holy Spirit goes away and I'm just going to go back to my room. Like, no, like, you know, there's that difference because a lot of people are just like, you know, just doing it to do it. And others that are like, this just has to play it out. I just got to play. This is what I was doing. It has to play out.
Play him out, Johnny.
No, really. It's just like, I have. You're going to be here all night. You know, Amos is just.
Okay, so with the Farah laughing fit, what was the point of that? What was God trying to tell you? Or was it just fun? Right? Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, but here's the thing.
How does that point to Christ that you laugh?
No. But does it matter if it was either one?
Yeah, I think it matters a lot.
Who says God can't be fun?
That's what I'm getting at. So God could be fun, or God could, because if
the sign of wonder doesn't point to Christ, what's the point in it? That's what I'm trying to say.
That does point to Christ, that God is fun.
I don't know. I think that's a very.
I mean, for some, you know,
I'm pretty sure they have those spiritual ecstasy moments.
I mean, what if like a
Salem New Age movements?
What if a clinically depressed person who hasn't laughed in years has one of those experiences, and you ask them that same question?
Yeah,
because they're going to say
we're getting into some weird honey barrel territory, right?
No, but it's like I'm not trying to say like there's no fakes, there's no, because I basically told you like I was one of the few that were basically having an experience that we couldn't really stop it, while the rest of the group was like, you know, okay, go back to our cabins, you know, we're at summer camp, like, all right, whatever. Like people just kind of like drew away from the.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to point out though is like miracles that make you feel good. How is that different from the 5,000 people Jesus fed and then they all got mad at him when he started preaching? Right? To me, that's still the same kind of thing. There's no message in there.
But he still did it.
Yeah. And that's my thing with the New Age. They do it too, but they don't even promote Jesus.
Right? You just answered your own question, right? Jesus still fed them. Even though it didn't give any ministry benefit at the end because they basically. I
mean, why would Jesus?
So it's irrelevant, right?
No. But why would Jesus?
It shows that he cares. It shows that he loves people.
I mean, I could use the same argument for salvation. Why would Jesus die for us if not all of us are going to accept him? I'm not trying to. I'm not changing.
I think that's a very different thing than talking about humans talking to humans about miracles and stuff. Because to me, a lot of the Holy Spirit laughter and the drunk in the spirit, like I've seen a lot of it where it is genuine, just mob mentality, right?
Sure.
That's what
Somebody's
I said.
doing it, and then everyone else does it.
Yeah, but there was a separate thing, like I said, where there were people that are genuinely having something happen that they don't just shut off because the mob stopped doing it.
No, you do.
Yeah,
No,
he's
when you're in
saying
the
that,
mob,
yes.
you really
That's
do
what he's
want to
saying
kill
that.
that guy, and you think it's your idea. It's the same thing. When you're in the mob, you genuinely believe the mob.
Yes, if you're in the mob, but once you're removed from the mob,
when the mob is gone and you're still going,
this is exactly what Tom said here. Though, if
Yeah.
somebody like you were in the mob mentality, and if something shakes you out of it, you get this weird disgust feeling, but then you're out of it, right? I don't think that defeats the point, right?
So maybe it was a thing between me and God where like I don't have any reason to stop this. There's a mental component. Like,
but what's the point? Where in the Bible does it say laugh for 4 hours in the name of me? Right?
Where in the
to
Bible
me, that's all more New Age miracle.
Where in the Bible does it say the word Trinity?
It doesn't, and I don't believe in it. It doesn't.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. But I mean, we have like church recorded miracles that are not in the Bible, right? Father Cappuccino, he was a flyer. He would fly up in the air. We don't have anything like that in the Bible. What's the benefit of that?
You hear about the crazy stuff that happens in the Catholic Church with the stigmata.
Right. We've got stigmatas. We've got visions. We've got, I'm skeptical of the recent thing about the non-rotting corpses because I've seen a couple of them, but probably early on, that was probably a thing. There are a lot of miracles. There was a French battle that took place around the 1200s where these barbarians stormed this city, killed all the people, and at 12 o'clock at night, all of the dead, decapitated bodies got up, picked up their heads, and started singing to God. I mean, the church is packed with these types of ridiculous, non-scriptural miracles. So this is the foundational question. Is Christianity a mystical religion or isn't it? Is it just supposed to be,
and it's not,
you get saved and you go to church and then you die, or are we actually meant to encounter the divine?
Right, because this is the thing is
meant to. Yeah, I think meant to there. That's a tricky word because
we
went over John the Baptist, saw none of it, did none of it, and was still, one of the greatest prophets.
So let me ask you this.
That's what I'm saying.
On that point, he did have it revealed to him because he saw Christ. So even in that analogy, fully agree. But that it's the same thing. Christ was revealed to him in this life. So again, that doesn't dismiss the argument that the whole reason we're on the earth is one, obviously to have your own personal encounter with God. You have to discover who he is, and you have to discover who you are. Otherwise, what's the purpose of this life? Just to get saved and go straight to heaven, and we should just like kill each other after we get saved? No, there's a purpose
to live is
behind it.
Christ, to die is gain, to quote Paul. But
right,
I think that goes back to holy indifference, right?
Right, no, and exactly. So to live is Christ, meaning that even in this life, God is constantly trying to reveal himself to us, and he'll respect our limits. Like if somebody's a Baptist, like an American Baptist, and they don't believe in miracles, God's not gonna, it has happened where he'd violate that and kind of give them an experience, but generally he'll be like, all right, that's as far as you want to go, cool. Some people, they're willing to see a couple healings and stuff like that, but the laughter stuff, not so much. And God will be like, yeah, I respect your choice. But he'll give you as much of him in this life as you want.
Yeah.
So
some people are just kind of like, okay, I'll have a little, I'll have half an experience. But the thing is you don't like when you're putting in these conditions, it's like, what are we really going to say like, oh, God's not going to do it here, but he's going to do it here because reasons, because scripture, because because that one book that was written so many years ago didn't say that one thing that is totally happening all across. So either they're all happening, none of them are happening.
I'm saying it's irrelevant to the gospel because we've already agreed. Sure, it's happened in Christianity, but it's also happened in non-Christianity, right?
So is
like
the
Saul
gospel
went to a
limited
sorcerer
to just
and a necromancer, right? That guy obviously was a Christian. He got in trouble for it,
Right. So does the gospel include our life or does it not? Like our entire life. Like part of my life is just I hear the gospel. That's it. Is there
It's
no
the believe in
enjoyment? Is there
acceptance
no
and all that kind of stuff.
right,
But yeah,
right,
I
but
mean,
is there no
afterwards, I don't think
communion?
I
Is there
think there's
no
not really a whole lot to do.
experiences? Yeah, but there's experiences. There's communion. There's prayer. There's you
That's
go
the
to
problem,
church.
though.
You
If you're
have prayer.
seeking experiences, you're gonna find them.
No,
Whether they're
no. I'm
good
not
or
saying
not
I
is very
seek
different.
experiences. I'm saying I'm open to them if they happen.
Yeah, that's the indifference. But if you're actively going to conferences to get drunk or slain in the
I
spirit
went to a
and all
summer
that kind of
camp because
stuff
my
with
parents
a
had
group of
nothing
other
better to
people,
do for me.
right?
And
Yeah,
then
I
it
know.
happened.
But that's what I'm talking about, the New Apostolic Reformation, where this is their objective. They have universities that charge you thousands of dollars
But-
on how you can do
but-
miracles too, right?
But it didn't start that way.
Now it kind of did.
No. Hold on. So a group of people, let's say, I don't know, in an airport somewhere, which did happen.
This is the
Had-
Toronto outpouring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a church gathering and stuff happened. And then here's what happened because of it. Some people had their life changed, went on to go start churches, went on to go be missionaries and all this stuff. Great. But then it turned into, this sort of like the idea turned into, no, we're going to make it here. We're going to like keep, calling in the anointing and all this, bullshit that happened. And then they just like, we're going to keep it going and going and going and going and going. And we're going to start turning it from receiving to pursuing. That's where it goes wrong, is when people are like, no, it only happens here. And we're just going to like, hope it happens here. Bunch of those other people did what they were really what the intention of an event like that is supposed to be. Holy shit, God's real. Go be a missionary. Go do this, go do that. Now, is that the only reason you should go and be, a man of God and go pursue these things? Obviously not. But it doesn't hurt for it to happen.
It could, though. I think it could be harmful, right?
It's harmful later.
Okay, so
But
yeah.
that's
So
like
let me
saying-
can I put up a different precedent that might
But
be
here,
helpful?
even I think even a longer one. This is real quick. All the miracles that ever happened in the book of Acts, the ones that were written and the ones that weren't written, all of that happened, and that was all great because that happened. Now here we are, this entire church afterwards. So is the entire church a mistake? Because a few people back then had genuine miracles and experiences.
No, not at all.
But
But
this
I'm
is the thing: is you have these movements that sprout that weren't in the Bible, obviously,
But
and
I mean-
people move as a result of that. And then you're saying, well, no, then it's doing more harm. So then the book of Acts is harmful. Then.
I'm saying there's two caveats. Like, A, is it genuine or non-genuine, right? Because we said we've seen people in mob mentality before. It's not necessarily all of them, but that does exist, right? So there's genuine, non-genuine. But then there's also, is it from God or not, right? And that's the second caveat. Like we talk about in the Old Testament and the New Testament, they still talk about sorcery. They still talk about divination. They still talk about necromancy, but not all of it is related to God. Some of it is not God.
So was the day of Pentecost mob mentality?
No, that's literally in the Bible. It says the Holy Spirit came from that.
Why?
So
No, who wrote that though?
What was it, Luke?
Luke.
Do you trust him?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we got. That's the source material. That's what we got.
So if I wrote
But
a
if
book
you're saying,
about
do I believe the book of Acts or the guy down the street in California? Those are very different questions, isn't it?
I know they're very different questions. I know they're very different questions, but you can't deny the move of God that comes as a result of that. Like I said, the Toronto outpouring, which is one of these things, and an event happens, and people are moved to go and do stuff. They go spread the gospel. They go do this stuff. They go out and they go do this thing. That's, I think, the original intention of those events. But obviously, human nature takes over, and people go, well, we want to keep perpetuating this stuff here. And then that's where it goes wrong for that. But that's them. Those people that went out are already out there. They're doing good works. Feeding the poor, starting churches, building schools, whatever the heck they're doing.
Yeah. Okay,
It
so
doesn't
do you
take
believe,
away-
though, like, okay, so maybe this is a better distinction. Like, I think it's in Samuel where they're talking about, what was it? Saul or somebody used a necromancer to get somebody else's spirit, right? And then God cursed him for it. Was that sorcerer using God's power or a different power?
So here's a better question.
You see what
Is
I'm
there
asking?
another power? Here's
You
a
see what
better
I'm
question.
asking?
Let me just chime in on this. You're making a distinction I don't necessarily think is a biblical distinction. when you could do the same thing with the book of Exodus and Moses going against the sorcerers who were, doing the signs and wonders, and he was doing the same things, right? What that actually points to is that human beings have always been in tune with the spirit realm long before we had the revelation.
But
of
is
God.
there opposing teams on the spirit realm? That's what I'm
Right.
asking.
That's a good question. I after the cross, I'm doubtful that there's pretty much anything else. In fact, I've made that statement before, that I think God is all encompassing in these things. I don't believe that.
But didn't Paul in Acts do exorcisms still? Or was taunted by that girl that was some kind of evil spirit? That was after the cross. Right.
Yeah, but it's a spirit of divination and he cast it out. But I don't believe in a devil. It doesn't mean that there aren't evil spirits, but the evil spirits are empowered by us. We create the darkness and give darkness a place to exist because we have dominion on the earth. So that's a
Can we use that to do signs and wonders, though?
Yes, that was the point.
So it doesn't come from God.
That was the point I was making. It comes from us. It comes from the fact that we are, again, in union with God.
Where did we come from?
We have the divine power within us, and of course, we can create good and evil. In fact, all the problems on the earth is basically us. We create good and evil. I'm not disputing that. The point is, it does not, just because you can create the evil does not mean that the good that comes out of it is something that we should avoid in terms of all of these spiritual experiences. In fact, the early church fathers would, when they picked Matthias after Judas was slain, how did they pick Matthias? They cast lots, right? They basically
it's a pagan as fuck.
Yeah, it's a pagan thing, right? That's what they did. That's how they did it. And what did they do? They trusted the Holy Spirit that would guide them in a sense. That's how they did it. And the early church fathers understood this. And what they'd say is like, look, if you do any of these types of things outside of Christianity, if you do it apart from Christianity, it's divination. But if you're doing it with like seeking God's face and trusting that God is good, he will guide you, and he can basically use anything.
God.
But can you do something in the name of God and not be from God?
Can you do something in the name of God? Well, you have to be specific on this case. Can you do something in the name of God and not say it is, but not believe? Yeah, of course you can. It depends on.
But is it actually from God because you verbally declared it was from God?
I mean, you could go interview a few thousand people during the Crusades about that.
Yeah, it depends on what it is. Yeah. So,
but I'm just saying, is it possible? I'm not saying yes, no, every circumstance.
Yeah, no, of course, people do things,
Yeah, so you can claim something's from God and it doesn't come from God, right?
Yeah, of course. I'm not disputing that. But in terms of the experiences, in terms of the supernatural, you can take one or two positions. Either you could toss it all out, or you can try and filter through what it is. And for me, I trust God is big. God is in everything. God is holding the creation together. If he doesn't want me to be involved in something, he's going to put the brakes on. He's going to pull me back from that. But I trust him to keep me safe in whatever I'm doing. And I mean, when we get to the discussion about drugs and other things, we'll definitely have that chat. Mm-hmm. But that's it. I'm not trusting in my instincts and stuff. I'm trusting in him. That's the act of faith. Is he not going to honor that? Do you think he's not going to honor that?
Maybe, maybe not, right?
I mean, he wouldn't be much of a good father if he didn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Apparently the best one out there.
That goes into like putting formulas on God to me.
No,
it's a relationship.
If you do this, then God has to do this.
No, not God. That's
a vending machine, right?
No, it's not God has to. It's God can.
No. It's not even that. It's a father-son relationship. I trust my daddy, my father, to take care of me. That's not a formula. That's love.
But at the same time, you're also empowered to live out your own life and make your own decisions.
Correct. Because I trust what he's given me to live this life. I trust the Christ in me to live this life. So I think where we're getting the disconnect on this is, obviously we have a distinction of what is the gospel, and we could probably do an entire episode on that topic alone. It appears probably we have different views.
Also, Heather is waiting. I just saw Heather. We'll get to you in like 30 seconds. All right.
And the other question is, what is the purpose of life? If it is, you really think you just get saved and everything else is kind of pointless. Okay, but then why don't we do? No, and that's fine. If that's your position, that's fine. I don't necessarily think that would be the case, especially since he wants us to live forever. Originally, he wanted us to live for hundreds and thousands of years. There must be more to it. And the Eastern Orthodox view is like, yes, we are here for two reasons: to know God and to know ourselves, and then also to transcend ourselves to become like God. Not that we'll ever achieve, not like the God. We will never be the God, but
We're not Mormons.
right. We will be, the divine in us will grow and grow. And when we die, it's fully revealed and we'll be like Christ and all this kind of stuff. But that starts in this life. So I would say, why would we? Yeah, maybe. I agree. That's the Eastern Orthodox view.
I think that's part of my problem, though, is like, I think we're putting a lot of like assurances on stuff that we don't really know, right? To me, like being, so, we're supposed to be content. We're talking about before, to live is Christ, to die is gain. Yes. The holy indifference of the material world. If we're still actively desperate to see signs and miracles, to go do something, that leads you very vulnerable to
I would agree.
telling you what you want to hear, right?
So in any of the in any of the claims that I think, at least what I've made, I don't know, I didn't listen to as closely with what Brooke was exactly saying. Not like I didn't listen, but do you sense either of us making any claims that God followed some sort of formula, or that there were assurances, or that we can demand God for something and it is?
Kind of, yeah, but
where?
The Secret is literally a formula.
Okay, we didn't condone The Secret, though. We were just talking about like an outpouring can just happen.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it can, but if you're going into places in a group, and then the group starts thinking alike because you're seeking it.
Okay. So
to me, that opens a lot of questions of doubts, right?
So do you think God can or cannot operate through that?
He could, but so could other things. That's what I'm saying.
What are other things?
Lots of things we're talking about. What team is making the miracles happen, or is it just a psychological delusion?
Oh, okay, so
it could be a mob mentality. That's what I was talking about. Is it genuine or not genuine? And then also, is it from God or not from God? There's two levels.
So are you basically going? I mean, is this a purity test then? Who's the true Christian?
I'm saying we don't know what's genuine and not genuine.
Okay,
because when you're in the mob, you think it's genuine.
So
right?
How do you judge it then?
You don't. You do, but I think you can. I think you can look at the evidence, right?
No, but I mean, so something happens, whether it's mob mentality or not. Definitely important questions. But how you can actually judge it, right?
You can with your limited human scope. Yes,
by its fruits.
Yeah, but you also could, like, I don't know. The fruits thing is tricky because usually people go to, did it make you feel good? Right? A lot of people think the spirit of feeling good is a fruit, but it's not.
Did people feel moved upon by the spirit to go do things like preach the gospel?
Yeah,
like feed the hungry.
On both teams.
What do you mean both teams?
We're just going over this. If not all science.
Why is it a bad thing to want to feed the poor?
Some of them come from other places. I know a lot of atheists and I know a lot of pagans that love charity and love helping people.
Don't you think God is glorified through an atheist act to feed the poor?
Yes, but saying it's coming from God is very different, right?
No. God is glorified nonetheless.
God from not God. Because you can have genuine not God, and you can have. Okay, but also we should get to the guests because we're going to run out of time. Sorry. So Heather was up first. What's going on, Heather?
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not making a big fat mess like last week.
My
anyway,
God.
my earbuds are still on order, and when I called and asked about it, they kept going round and round. I was like, you know what? Why don't you just cancel it? So then they decided to give me a big discount. So we'll see what happens. Ooh, maybe they'll arrive in the next week. Who knows? But this show has gone in it's like there's like 3 topics here.
Yeah, pretty much.
That are just like, you could do a show, you could divide this up, or we could just stay on all day. We could just stay on all day. But it's just like, it's hard to keep up with everything, but I'll look forward to the re-listen. One thing I wanted to say in regard to the laying on hands thing, I was in the hospital years and years ago. I had to have a very serious procedure, and my family came in, my family of origin came in, and they're very religious and stuff. And they stood around my bed and they laid hands on me, and it felt like I was lifting up off of the bed. Now, mind you, that could have been the extreme amounts of morphine they had pumping into me as well. But it was a beautiful experience that my family cared. And it was private. It wasn't like a big show for anyone else. They meant it, and I felt it, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. You know, that they cared so much to want to do that. There's so many other things. My brain is spinning. But in regard to the chakras, I meant it as a joke when I put in that I believe in chakras when my yoga instructor is talking about them. And that ties in. So I think it was
to play nice for the yoga instructor, right?
Well, no, actually, because I'm in that mental space at that time, I am mentally in the space following her direction. And I'm mentally and spiritually connecting with what she's telling me to do. I practice yoga every day, but when I do this class once a week, it's different because I'm not going on a whim as to which pose I'm going to do or whatever. I'm actually following her direction, trying on much harder things. And I get into that frame of mind. But Tom in the chat put something about, us like women trying to desperately hold on to their youth. And it's like, I don't think there's anything desperate about women wanting to improve themselves or to stay or to just stay healthy. But I do understand the, I guess it would fall under virtue signaling of putting it out there. Like, here's a picture of me doing a pose. You are not going to see a picture of me doing a plow pose online.
Or everyone telling everyone they're vegan or anything like that.
Ever. It's like, nobody needs to see that. Heck, I'm just trying to get through it and keep breathing while I'm trying to do these things, but people like to, show off things. And I found that, over the years when I was doing, I did a lot of volunteer work over the years, a lot. And when I was doing it, with Facebook being new to me at the time, it was like I kept posting pictures of what I was doing. And it's like, I looked back on it and I get these, the reminders on Facebook when it comes up, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever. And it's like, oh my God, I didn't have to show a picture of me doing a neighborhood cleanup. You know what I mean? When I did like bunches of them in a single week, because that was what I was doing as my volunteer stuff. And, you don't have to show everybody. And I understand promoting stuff to encourage other people to do things, but it gets to a point where you cross that line where it's more like, look at me and how great I am with all this great stuff I'm doing. Don't you think I'm fabulous?
Yes.
And it's like, I don't need that anymore. But I went through a process, and, some of the things I have issue with when I hear things being spoken about with in regard to women, and look, people are people. There are going to be crappy people, and there's going to be good people, and there's going to be everything in between. But people can grow and change, and it's like, I think some of the younger guys who are out there trying to find their way and figure out what's going on, yes, be aware of the warning signs, listen to the programs that go over the red flags and what to look out for to protect yourself, but also be willing to accept that, maybe you're in somebody's life and can actually, be that moment where somebody learns something. And I'm not saying you should set yourself up for that, but it's like, don't beat yourself up for your mistakes.
Yeah.
So you had a crappy relationship or something like that. What did you learn from it? How can you grow from that? What can you seek the next time you're looking for someone who you want to share, some time with? And I just, I just really wanted to, put that out there because it's like, I feel like, it's like, God, if you listen to Donovan Sharp, I mean, a woman can, God, talk about a spiral of depression. I had to stop listening to him because it was too much. But
he is
even
definitely
though
the supreme leader of misogyny. But
here's the thing, but I found him funny because he reminded me of old radio programs that I listened to, and it was silly, and I liked his format and stuff, and I still think he's talented, but it's like I can't put myself through that because I'm so far past the wall and everything else that I suddenly realized one day while I was listening to it, I'm happily married. Who cares that I'm so far past the wall? Who cares? Like, because I was judging myself compared to what he was talking about with 23-year-olds. I'm like, I'm going to be 50. What am I thinking about? But it's like, you have to put things into context. And, I can't wait to re-listen to this show because you guys really covered so much stuff and it has my head spinning. But I'll exit out to leave room for someone else because I've been going on too long.
Yeah,
Sorry.
awesome. Thanks for sharing, Heather. I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming on.
Great day, guys.
Yeah, have a good week. All right, we got Senor Tom back here. This will be fun.
Awesome.
Also, if you got, because I'm willing to sit, I don't got anything to do today. So if you guys do got to leave for a 10K rum, you guys go ahead, and I'll still be here yelling at Tom. So,
What's happening, Tom?
Tom,
Yes. What's up, guys? How's it going?
It's going good, man. We got to continue this next week. We have to.
yeah, we got a fourth of the way there, maybe.
We didn't even
We'll
scratch.
probably, hey, I'll probably do a part 3 if we keep going. Yeah.
Oh, I got a lot. Yeah, I got.
What's up, Tom?
I'm doing good, guys. I don't even know where to start. Heather is cracking me up. I would not think of her as a Donovan Sharp listener.
That's a shock. Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah. And Amos, you're a very bad boy in the private chat.
You were supposed to read that. Anyways.
I'm not gonna go. Okay. So Conk, yeah, I was so many things I've been thinking about, but so it sounds like you have like a lot of hurt in that area.
No.
Now.
No, not at all. I've been in charismatic and Pentecostal churches, and I've seen the man behind the curtain, right? And I guarantee, not all of it is genuine, right?
I don't think anybody.
Everyone who performs a miracle is performing a miracle, right?
Yeah,
but I was
the trade, right?
Yeah,
but this is the thing: is you've seen the fakes, and we've seen the real ones. So
I've seen both. I've never said miracles are wrong. I've talked about it on the show. I was in Panama, and we prayed over water in a gas tank, and it got us to drive the bus. Shit does happen, right?
Sure.
But I mean, the weekly slain in the spirit drunk fest, like there's a lot of mob mentality there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I get that. So what I'm saying is
let Tom get into it. This is Tom's.
Yeah. That wasn't mob mentality for me. Because you pulled up my comment, I was legit slaying in the spirit at my girlfriend. It was my current girlfriend's dad's church. Who she was the one that like wasn't a virgin, even though she was a pastor's daughter. Anyway, that's
how do we always end up on sex with you, Tom?
Just repent and get it over with.
Yeah, go ahead,
slaying in the spirit in the back of the church. That's what happened.
This is the red pill spirit. Always sex.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was really playing the spirit, and I did not want to get up. It felt really good, and that wasn't mob mentality. And I don't understand why y'all were disagreeing, because like only from like hurt, it seems like you guys are really disagreeing. I don't know why, and it seems like it's Conk versus Brooke and Amos and me. But I don't understand what the disagreement is.
Okay, so let me go through the qualifications for you though, just so you know what they are. Do you believe some miracles are genuine and non-genuine?
Yes.
Do you believe some miracles are from God and not from God?
Yeah, like one I would say is not from God. Yeah.
So there is reason to be discernful of them, right?
Yes.
And to me, I don't see a lot of discernment in a lot of the places I've been. It's a lot of, that mob herd mentality of, oh, I felt it, therefore it's true. That's Mormon logic, right? That's Jehovah's Witness logic. That's New Age logic. I felt good, therefore it's true, right?
To be fair, Corey, you can attest, even in Christianity, we do attest that you can have the inner witness of the Holy Spirit to have an intimate relationship with God off of a feeling. Like that, your anecdotal experience with God doesn't mean that it's not true.
Yeah.
So, and this is where we kept having the disagreement. You were speaking in language that kind of dismissed all of it because it's feeling or whatever. But in Christianity, we do that same thing too.
It was real because I felt it. I'm saying that is a problem. It could be real. It could not be real.
Yeah,
either way, it'll make you feel good. But that doesn't mean it's a genuine or it's for the right team, right?
Right. But at the same time, it's perfectly legitimate for somebody to say, as Tom is sharing what he felt at that experience when he was slain in the spirit. That's 100%. That's fine. That's genuine. And I don't have a problem.
So here's another scenario. What if I felt absolutely nothing, had no experience, but something did happen? How would I know?
Would it matter?
But I had an experience, though. How would I know? I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, you don't need to feel anything. You don't. Feeling is not a prerequisite.
But I'm saying is, but what if only God knew I had an experience, but I didn't feel I had an experience? Does it do anything? No. Here's what I'm getting at. Did it do anything for me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Nothing, because I didn't feel it. I have no knowledge of what's happening.
About feeling it. That's what I'm saying.
So obviously, from my perception, my vantage point, nothing happened. Now, am I saying
move on with your life? Nothing happened.
No. I don't even know anything happened.
But something
because I have no confirmation. But let's just say someone else knew something happened, but they didn't tell me that. Like, let's say someone had a vision, they saw me like, glowing or whatever, and then something happened, but they don't tell me because they're whatever. But something happened. But I'm just sitting there like, this is why. This is not to justify feelings 100%, but they're important. If I don't know what's happening, nothing's happening to me. So if I have a feeling and then I kind of check myself like, wait, is this real? Is this really going on? Whether I pray, whatever I do to get confirmation, then it's like, okay, then I felt it, then I can, you could have like a process of elimination to figure, is this real for me? Some people do it by feeling. Some people need, 3 people to show up in their life over the next month to be like, it was real, words of knowledge or whatever. Yeah. There's all these different things, that can confirm it. But basically what you're setting up is, if it's feeling, that's a problem. Then it's like, how do we confirm anything?
It's not a guaranteed factor of authenticity.
I know it's not a guaranteed factor.
You can believe fake shit, right?
Sure. Of course you can believe and
feel. You can feel fake shit.
But this is
fake shit that makes you feel great. You can sunbake your asshole all day and feel like a man.
But this is kind of the problem with it, because some things are fake. That you kind of open the door for then everything is fake. I'm saying it's open to criticism. No matter how you feel. Of course it's open to criticism. But there's some things that are meant to be personal.
Then we all agree.
Gentlemen,
gentlemen,
that will be next week's show on my channel. Tom, please finish up your commentary on your experience.
I mean, I don't know, Conk, do you still want to talk or what?
Yeah, I'm fine to stay on longer if you guys need it. It's up to you. Because I do think to me, it is a big deal. So I think it's leading a lot of people astray, so to speak.
But is it leading more people on the right path?
I don't know, but personally, I doubt it from what I'm looking at so far.
Does it help anybody?
Possibly. I mean, meth helps people in some ways, but it also hurts in other ways.
People, though. Here's another question: in terms of harm that it does for people, are people dying because of this?
Yes.
No, that's a slippery slope. All right, we will continue that.
Yes.
We will continue that conversation next week. Next week is my channel. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay. So we'll definitely continue the discussion on I'm not even exactly sure what the disagreement is.
Yeah, me
Yeah, I
either.
know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm saying we should be criticizing.
Right. I think just to sum up what I
Right.
think the difference is you are more critical based on you're trying to be very rational and equate things and experiences. I am of the opinion I'm trusting God for the authenticity. And that's kind of the disconnect. You're kind of relying on your
And
own
I think that
reasoning.
sentence in itself is dangerous. So,
Right, which is your that's your opinion and stuff like that. I mean, I'm
and it's
banking
also
on
First
church-
John 4's opinion.
Well, I'm banking on church history, which basically the entire church is, the whole Bible is people having these ridiculous encounters with God before anybody wrote them down. The whole purpose of Christianity is meant to be a mystical experience. So I'm going on that church history that, these experiences do happen and you can trust, God is, if you believe in a devil and you're a child of God and you have an experience and you don't know if it's God or not, you can ask him. And if it's not, if he doesn't reveal that it's not him, I don't think he's a good father. But that's the faith I have. That's the relationship I have with God. So I think that is the distinction. We obviously can't rationalize, we can't evaluate, whatever. But we will have the discussion next week. I think this is great.
Who are the headless people singing? What was that?
I will find that there's a book by John Crowder. It's called The New Mystics. The theology is bullshit, but he has a great breakdown of church history and the miracles from the Desert Fathers and turning water into wine and multiplying food and all kind of stuff. I'll find that story and I'll send it to you.
All righty.
Oh yeah, okay.
So are we wrapping it up then?
We're heading out. You guys have your discussion.
We'll talk off air, Tom. We can do that.
Oh, we'll talk off.
So-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can keep it succinct. I think that's a word. I'm using it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Does anybody got final thoughts? Last things to pitch?
Love you, Heather. I don't.
We do love Heather the robot.
No, she's great. Yeah, this is definitely a great topic. We will be continuing it next week. Hopefully,
I
we'll
am, of course, absolutely right because I feel it.
Checks out for me.
We got to touch on the drugs and those different types of things. I think that's definitely going to be where we're going. So, that's it for me, man. I'll see you guys. Well, we're going over this 10K Rum podcast in about 24 minutes. So we'll see you guys across there.
All right. And in the broadcast.